Tuesday, you know what time it is. Frontrunner Podcast Collective is back on the air. I am your humble host, Vince, and we have a really big show today. We are going to discuss the situation in Memphis. I know a lot of people have already talked about it. We're going to give you our perspective on it, and actually, we are going to come at it from a completely different angle. Then we're going to head and talk about the Brawl. Detroit and Minnesota, the fallout, the suspensions, things of that nature. Then we're going to follow it up because by popular demand, we heard you. We heard you in the emails. We heard you in the comments. Around the Arc is back and is basically full vigor. And what I mean by that is that you're saying, well, Vince, you used to do 3 pods a week. Now you do 2. You are right. Around the Arc is going to feature the Eastern Conference today. So we're going to do the Eastern Conference. And then we're going to give you some stats that you need to know. And that's in the Off the Bounce segment. But you know how we start today. We always start with the front running theory. And before we get there, I want to address 2 things. One, real quick on the Stephen A thing. I think every NBA podcast person has talked about it, and I guess I'll throw my 2 cents in on it too. Why not, right? I mean, if it gets clicks, I guess it gets clicks. But coming from it from this perspective, okay. LeBron is what at this generation's, if you want to call it this millennia, best player, right? This is of the 2000. He is the Michael Jordan of the 2000s. Call it whatever you want. Go, not go. I don't, if you want to call me old, whatever, I get it. But at the end of the day, you can talk about his authenticity. You can talk about his inauthenticity. You can talk about LeBron being a mercenary. You can talk about, you could talk about LeBron being in a situation where he has done what's best for LeBron in his career. Now, for a lot of fans, that could rub people the wrong way. You have an affinity for a team or whatever the case may be. Now, the newer generation doesn't look at teams. They look at players. So if they vibe with John Morant or Jaren Jackson Jr., that's who they vibe with. Now, if John Morant or Jaren Jackson Jr. were to be traded, pump the brakes, Memphis. I'm just using it as an analogy. But if Jaren Jackson Jr. was to be traded, there are young people who are not really worried about the Memphis Grizzlies. They're just worried about where Jaren Jackson Jr. is going. Is he going to get the proper amount of touches? Is he going to be used correctly? Is his career going to be ultimately successful? And they tied their fandom or their emotions of fandom to that. Now, I am from the old school. I'm a Laker fan. I've been a Laker fan forever. I will tell you, this Luka situation is the most jovial I've been in quite some time as a Laker fan. Been a hard watch for like the last decade. So I understand people having real skin in the game as far as comments towards LeBron or against LeBron. I will always go back to this. I think there's been a couple people made this point, but I want to drive this home. LeBron James Jr., Bronny James, was the 55th overall pick. So when I say that, the chances of that guy making it in the NBA are what? Not that great. So the Lakers took LeBron James' son with the 55th overall pick. You can say, well, they did him a favor. You can say it's good PR. You can say, hey, this is a good working relationship that LeBron and the Laker organization has created, and it has, is borne fruit with a championship. Whether people want to categorize it as a non-real championship or not, it is a ring. And now with Luka being here, LeBron, in a sense, has helped usher in the new landscape of what Laker basketball is going to be. I will just say this about Bronny James and the criticism that Stephen A. Smith bestowed upon him. I understand where you're coming from. As soon as you said anything about his fatherhood, that's where he had every right to say anything he needed to say about you at that present time, because LeBron has done an excellent job in 2 or 3 things. One, this is a superstar who has stayed out of trouble. We're about to, in the front running theory, we're about to talk about a superstar who couldn't stay out of trouble, making choices and what have you. Here's a guy who has really kind of like sacrificed for the league. And you say, well, Vince, how has he sacrificed for the league? Okay. I mean, he even said it on the Pat McAfee show, and I'll get to that in 1 second. But he said on the Pat McAfee show, he was like, okay, I'm from Akron. Lo and behold, the Cleveland Cavaliers get the #1 overall draft pick. I understood the assignment. In his words, this is his words, he said, I just didn't want to fuck it up. This man spent 22 years. A lot of excellence in that 22 years. Some things to quibble with, no doubt. But he's put up 22 years of stellar performances. Has there been a little bit of controversy? Yeah, a little bit. But who amongst us hasn't had its share of controversy? So his son gets drafted into the league. Stephen A. says some comments about the situation. LeBron attacks him. Whether people want to say that's right or not, that's up to you. What I'll say about this is that there's a lot of noise around the 55th overall pick. I want to say this. Bronny is playing more than Reed Shepherd. We've seen positive strides from Bronny James, and Tajon Saloon can't get off the bench in Charlotte. Now, I'm not saying that Bronny James is the next coming or whatever, but here's the thing. We've seen it in football. We've seen it in basketball. We've seen it in baseball. You take a flyer on the DNA, and then when you find out what the kid is like, because here's the thing about Bronny James that I'm going to tell you that maybe you don't know. Here's the thing that you might sit there and find very, very hard to believe. That kid is working very hard on his craft every single day. He takes copious amounts of input, video input, and coaching input, and then tries to apply it to his game. Where he was the day of training camp and today, he's a completely different dude. Credit to him and his work. The outside shot looks a lot cleaner. His ball handling, which is still the weak point of his game, looks better. He's starting to use and utilize screens in a better way, and he's getting downhill. And these are all progressions that he has made. And it's the 55th overall pick. So you can say, hey, you're caping up for Bronny. You glazing up LeBron James and his family, or whatever the case may be. You can say all those type of things. But at the end of the day, we are having a long foreign conversation about Bronny James, the 55th overall pick. And I'll tell you this. That kid is the nicest kid to the support staff, to the training staff. He asks for, in a sense, extra work. He does extra work. He treats his teammates on the G League just as well as he treats his teammates on the Lakers. He is fitting in to his surroundings for who he is with all this scrutiny. And again, I will continue to hammer home, he is the 55th overall pick. I understand the name. I understand what's behind it. But at the end of the day, if LeBron James Jr. becomes a 8th man in a rotation, we have a success. If this man becomes a 6th man in this league or whatever and thrives and averages like 13 points a game, guess what? Rob Pelinka looks like an absolute freaking genius. And credit to the player development people. Credit to JJ Redick for having an actual plan for Bronny James this whole entire time. Thanks to the analytical department. Thanks to the video department for the Lakers that are supporting this young man to chase his dream. And again, if I'll be very candid. Due to alcoholism and, I talk about being 8 years sober, I was not the best father. To see this man be a good father is, do you understand where he came from? Do you understand some of the heartaches he had to face and his mom had to face? I know, yeah, y'all see what he is now. He's a billionaire and all this other stuff, but he lived in Section 8 housing. Do you understand the statistics of what that ends up being? And for him to never have had a marriage scandal, for him to have kids that seem very well adjusted and polite people, and for all his friends, his homies, however you want to put it, his confidants, things of that nature, all of them are very, very successful. And that's a credit to their hard work. That's a credit to the trust that LeBron and the communication skills that LeBron put forth within inside his group. And I find that he has that same kind of communication skills with his son, who seem to have that same type of effervescent personality that basically uplifts his teammates. And again, I tell you, there are 26-year-olds on South Bay Lakers right now that are telling me that this man is just a good kid. He does his work, and he's a good dude to be around. So again, I think Stephen A was wrong going after the fatherhood thing. And I think we are having a long foreign conversation again about a 55th pick. And if this was any other team and his name was any other name and he didn't have the DNA of the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, this wouldn't be a story. We're going to probably have we're going to have more expectations about Bryce Maximus James, okay, who is 6'6" already, seems to have the playmaking skills, and also his outside shot seems to be more well formed than his brother. We're gonna have more expectations on that kid than this one, and I wonder what the narrative will be around him. I wonder what the noise will be around him when we get there. I love the passion that people talk about the game. I don't want to shit on that. I want people to be able to talk about it. But I also want to go like this, man. Like, there's a lot of importance on the 55th overall pick in the NBA in the 2024 NBA draft. Are we gonna have this same energy for the 55th pick this year? Oh man, Sacramento. Damn, I don't know about this development of this, like, EuroLeague player who's 19 and, body is a little bit underdeveloped. I mean, geez, this dude could be like our seventh dude, like 3 years down the road. I hope we have that same energy. All right, let's get to the pod. We got so much to get to. We got so many things to get to. We're going to start off in Memphis because there's a lot going on there. So I wanted to go about this a different way. And I want to kind of mix in some analogies of this debacle that has gone on in Memphis. So you kind of have to allow our creativity to flow here. So if you're lost with this, I believe we will have a blog that goes with this. So enjoy the second screen experience as well. So again, we're starting off in Memphis, and I want to go with this. Have you ever lived with someone that keeps saying they'll change, but somehow they're still the one taking out the trash? You're taking out the trash and picking up their socks. Welcome to the 2025 Memphis Grizzlies. This season, John Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr., the core, your supposed build-around pieces, have played a combined 32 of 74 games together. 32 games. And now, with 9 games left, the Grizzlies, Zach Kleinman, fire Taylor Jenkins, their most successful coach in franchise history. This isn't about one game, or this isn't even about one season. This is about identity, availability, and a front office saying, we're done. We're done. Because here's my spill on this whole deal. Let's call it what it is. Zach Kleinman didn't just make a coaching change. He pulled the plug on the version of this season for the Grizzlies. Okay? The NBA is a routine-based organization, and it's from franchise to franchise. LeBron is a creature of habit. He has a routine all the way down the line. Luka has a routine. Austin has a routine. Your favorite teams, Jalen Brunson has a process. They all have processes. Now, whether the coach and the star player allegedly has some sort of disagreement, which I do not believe to be true, you fire the coach with 9 games left in the season. Basically, you're telling the team, hey, I'm sick of your shit. I'm sick of your pouting. I'm sick of, we have this analytics department here. We have this player development department here. And we feel like that we are wasted resources. And if you're not going to adhere to some of these things that we're giving you, that we are like employing these people to give you this information to make us the best we can possibly be, and you don't want to adhere to the game plan, well, hell, check this out. We'll fire the coach right now. This will just basically obliterate the season, because let's keep it a buck, Memphis. Are you really thinking you're doing anything in the playoffs this year now? I mean, you had a puncher's chance when Taylor Jenkins was still there, because we're going to get into who and what Taylor Jenkins was to the Memphis Grizzlies in 1 second. But now that we're here, now that the coach has been pulled, and we'll talk about Tumas Iasalo in a second, but now that we're here, Memphis Grizzly fans, Grind City, where is your enthusiasm level for this team and their chances in the playoffs going in now? And it's a free fall, because we're going to talk about the last 2 games in a second as well. Y'all hit me up on X at FrontrunnerPC. Also, you can hit the producer up at Rhea_Funch FRPC. Now, getting back to Zach Kleinman pulling the plug on the season, here's some surface level stats for you that don't look like a crisis. There are 15 games. Well, at the time of this taping, there are 14 games over 500. They're still in playoff contention. But then if you zoom in, last 10, they are 2-8. Teams that are above 500, they have lost 12 in a row. They are 21st in defensive ratings since January. And again, only 32 games with their big 3. That's not stability. That's dysfunction with a makeup on it. And then the key. Jenkins didn't get fired for failing. He got fired because the front office felt he lost the room. They brought in new assistants this year, so they fired his whole entire staff of oh my God, I can't. Oh, this is so crazy that I'm doing this right now, drawing a blank. Of course we do this on the podcast, right? Chris Vernon of the Mismatch talked about this on his pod. And he gave a detailed situation that, so the entire staff of Taylor Jenkins last offseason gets axed. They replaced it because they wanted to bring in a different type of offense, which we'll get to in 1 second. So they started testing alternate philosophies, and when that didn't spark buy-in, they yanked the cord. Enter Tumas Iasalo. So this is the new coach. He has a European flow offense known for creativity, spacing, off-ball movement, but not running a lot of pick and roll. The offense that you saw earlier in the year, the one where it looked like Ja wasn't really effective in, and then if you notice in the last 2 games, they run more pick and roll in the last couple games, because Ja is still the straw that stirs the drink. And here's the thing. The reason why they went to this offense is because Ja's availability is an issue. Okay? So you call it whatever it is. You can call it bad breaks. You can call it soft tissue injuries. And what does that mean? Is his lifestyle changed so abruptly that this shouldn't be going on anymore? Or is this just like the unluckiest guy on the face of the planet? I think some of it is what? Truth probably lies in the middle, right? That's kind of where I stand on it. But I think you send a huge message to your star when you bring in a guy who doesn't run ball screens. For Ja Morant, one of the best downhill pick and roll guards in the entire league. That's like giving Superman a new cape and then it doesn't let him fly. It makes 0 sense unless this isn't the system fit. But about seeing how players react to without Jenkins. Now, here's the thing that I saw in the Laker game. Ja scored 22 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. He looked effective. This was his 6th highest usage rate this season, minimum 30 minutes. Bane, Ja, Triple J all scored 20 points. It's only the fourth time in the season that they have done that. They showed up, but the defense, absolute chaos. The Lakers hit 12 of their first 21 threes. Memphis gave up 134 points. And Austin Reeves, in a big three stat line next to Bron and Luka, I mean, he was crazy. 31 points. He was out there balling. He looked like the best player on the court, honestly. Now, vibes already fractured in Memphis. Before the tip-off against the Lakers, the core guys called a players-only meeting. Desmond Bane said in that, he said, I just wanted them to get out their raw emotions, don't hold anything back. That's leadership, but also desperation. Ja followed with this. Everything I've done in a Grizzlies jersey has been under Coach Taylor. It was a lot to process. That's vulnerability. But it also tells you how fast the floor dropped out. And when the big three finally shines together for the first time in forever, and you still lose, it's no longer about talent. It's about trust, cohesion, and what direction are the Grizzlies going in. Which Memphis hasn't had a direction in 2 years, let's be honest. It started with what? The Ja suspension. And then you had injuries everywhere. So this is not just about Ja. Bane was out. Jaren Jackson Jr. has missed some time. We had the whole Steven Adams thing, and then they had to fix that. So there's been a lot of stuff that has gone on in Memphis that have derailed seasons. This is not a attack on Ja. This is just things have happened. These are the things that happen in chronological order. This year, Ja has missed 25 games. Bane has missed time, and Jaren Jackson's been in and out of the lineup. So they've had a 43% availability. How do you build a system when the foundation keeps shifting? How do you evaluate a coach or core when they never seem to be on the floor together consistently? The answer to those questions is that you don't. And that's why this move wasn't about this season. This was about future-proofing the team. Tomas isn't the guy yet. He's on a test drive. The front office needs to know, does Ja want to play a different system? Can this trio defend at a high level? Is there a future here? Or does everything change in July? Because here come the Celtics, and let's talk about that game. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, this was a masterclass. I have notes, so let me get started. So the Celtics roll into FedEx Forum, and they put on a 117-103 beating on the Memphis Grizzlies. The team is tinkering in public, and I mean in the best possible way. The Boston Celtics last night took 62 3-point shots. The percentage of 3-point shots last night for the Boston Celtics out of all the shots they took was 64.6% of their shots came from deep. That is 2022 Rockets level of math ball, but with better defense. Porzingis was ridiculous. 19 points. He had a plus 29. Box plus minus. Love that. He had the spacing, the gravity, rim contest, and also no ego. I mean, it looks beautiful when it's all on the court for the Celtics. And this game was just geometry. He and Horford combined for 7 threes and they open up the lane for Tatum to operate like an absolute surgeon. Call whoever doctor you want to see. Chicago, Hope, whatever, all that, whoever. Drew and Derek White, man, I mean, you love the connective tissue, the guards. It was a masterclass. They had 17 combined assists. This is how you win playoff series without needing Tatum to play superhero every single night. On the other end, Memphis was out there praying for a secondary creation. Ja switch heavy matchups just swallowed up the offense. Scottie Pippen Jr. minutes in April. I mean, this is not the vision, dude. This is not what they had on the bingo card for what the Grizzlies expected this to look like. I also want to credit the Ringers group chat, NBA group chat, and Wosny Lambre. He made a point on the podcast about veterans, and they don't have veterans on this team. You got to have veterans on this squad to kind of help Taylor Jenkins' message get through, right? And I understand what people are saying. Well, they had veterans and they weren't able to play because they were hurt. Marcus Smart, I understand the whole deal. But it didn't disprove that you didn't need a veteran. What it meant was, unfortunately, you picked a veteran that had a ton of miles on him, and he wasn't going to be able to give you the 22 to 26 minutes that you probably needed from him. That means you go out and get another veteran. You go out and get somebody who can convey messages from the coaching staff to Ja and to Jaren Jackson Jr. why we don't need to jump over somebody 6'10" for a highlight dunk in the second quarter, because we need to save some of this energy for the fourth quarter on the defensive end and what have you. They didn't have that. Taylor Jenkins could only convey that message so many times, and we continue to rinse and repeat with the Memphis Grizzlies. And does this sound familiar to the Memphis Grizzlies fans? Another lost season. Whether it's Ja getting suspended, Ja having injuries, Ja having more injuries, the whole team having injuries last year, and now you have a coaching change at the end of the season. Zach Kleinman was just probably pissed off at this team and just said, enough, I'm done. I can't deal with this anymore. And again, the whys are right here. 32 games together as a core. Ja's availability has been a constant question mark. The defense is trending down and the chemistry is deteriorating. No system fit, no clear path forward. Because if Ja doesn't shoot better than 31% from three, this is a wrap. Zach Kleinman saw it. He didn't panic. He made a calculated bet. If we can't trust this group to be available, we can't build around it. So he ripped the Band-Aid off early. Said, you know what? You guys don't get a chance to go into the playoffs and even try to represent this, this fine city. You don't even get this chance. We giving you a whole season to figure this shit out, and you still haven't figured it out. So, for the interim coach, Asalo, for the core, and for the entire Grizzlies identity, here's the thing. Memphis is done with what ifs. They're moving into a show us now or reset mode. And Ja, he might still be the centerpiece, but only if he shows he can be available and lead in a system that is not designed for him. So I'm just telling you right now, Memphis Grizzlies fans, get ready for a long summer, a conjecture. Get ready for a long summer of of maybe Ja going on a couple podcasts and wondering, hey, is Memphis the right city for me? I would not be surprised if we heard some quotes like that. I wouldn't be surprised if we heard some other frustrations come out of the Grizzlies locker room. I am not saying that is going to definitely happen, but this is the type of season, and I think I talked about it at the start of the year. I said, there's going to be a team that has high expectations, and they're going to be terribly disappointed, and it's going to change the trajectory of the NBA. Kevin Durant is already out on the market. Is Ja Morant right behind him? It's a question we got to ask, though. Now, we got to shift gears. We got to really shift gears. Because something happened the other night that we need to talk about. And I'm not laughing because it's super funny, but I'm laughing because it's always this team. It's always the Detroit Pistons. And we really need to talk about what happened in Minnesota the other night. And I need to get these thoughts off because I've been holding back for a couple days now. So it was chaos. It was tension. It was absolutely necessary. I'm telling you right now, guys, I am excited to talk about this. It went down in Minnesota, of all places. The home of Brock Lesnar. The home of Ric Flair. You know what I'm saying? I know Ric Flair is hailed from Charlotte, but we all know he came from Minnesota. So we need to ask this question. Like, 7 ejections, a court-sized scuffle, and 2 franchises trying to prove they're done being stepped on, and this was the brawl for it all, boy. You had all the egos, you had all the chirpy chirps, everything was ready to go. So, let's talk about this. This is not all about the brawl. Let's talk about the Pistons too a little bit. Pistons went from 14 wins last year to 14 elbows this year. The Pistons are choosing violence. We remember last year, 14 games won. Okay? It was a dark day in Motown. Barry Gordy, if he was live, he would have been super sad. Smokey Robinson would have been singing real sad songs. You know what I'm saying? The Supremes. Diana Ross would have been out there with the fake eyelashes and the glittery gowns and stuff like that. Probably singing some church hymns and things of that nature. It was a bad day to be a Detroit Piston fan last year. But 1 year changes everything. We tripled the win total. Okay? We in the playoffs in Detroit. Okay? We in. Okay? Detroit, stand up. Detroit basketball is back. Cade Cunningham is a stud and a certified G. And they went into Minnesota. And they was like, yo, we're not getting pushed around. Okay? We're just not having it. Ron Holland II is 19 years of age. And he's already barking at vets and catching ejections. It's like a rite of passage. I mean, Isaiah Stewart must be so proud of his young buck. You already know what kind of energy B. Stu brings. Is in his name. And JB Bickerstaff, he just crashed out. You know, but he said like this. He says, we're going to defend each other, and I believe in them. This version of the Pistons, think The Wire season 4. The kids are wild, emotional, still learning, but they're in it. And they're dangerous because they haven't figured it out, and they haven't figured out fear yet. Because they not taking no L's on the court. None. Malik Beasley was out there talking mad trash. He was out there talking. Whoever wanted the smoke, Malik Beasley was giving it to him early. He was giving it to him. He was like, this dude can't guard me, and this dude over here can't guard me either. This was all the setup before this brawl. Now, this is where it flips. Minnesota got punched in the mouth, and they just didn't respond. Anthony Edwards had 5 points at halftime. I want to throw that in. And came out in the second half and dropped 20. And when he says, anytime your brothers get into it, it should boost you up. That's a leadership bar right there. That's a 23-year-old alpha dog, and he sounds just like it. Also, shouts out to Julius Randle. 26 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Physical is all get out and focused. It looks like he is over his breakup with the Knicks. He's not singing sad songs anymore. Shout out to Mike Conley Jr., clock manager, no flash, all function. And shout out to Dante DiVincenzo, who set the tone, was out there in the middle of the fracas, bringing the ruckus to the Detroit Pistons, and he was ultimately ejected for fighting. So let's run it back. Naz Reid gets fouled. Trash talk ensues. DiVincenzo steps in. Holland, Stewart, Reed, and Sasser all get into it. Pablo Prigioni and Bickerstaff get into it as well. Shout out to Pablo for almost squaring up in his loafers. I mean, it's just the most Italian thing you ever seen in your whole entire life. And then a little kid at courtside, he got a live look at NBA playoff basketball in March, man, because he was in the middle of it. There was like 7 dudes, and everybody was on top of him. Now, A-Rod gave him Dante DiVincenzo jersey, I think. Oh, no, Naz Reid jersey. That's what it was. Now, no punches were really actually thrown. Everybody was just kind of hemmed up. But the tension was real. There were a lot of pointing fingers, finger wagging, mouths jawing, all the stuff that you want. People pushing each other. It was a scrum. That's what I'll call it, a scrum. Now the league has set the suspensions. Couple dudes got a couple games. Let me break out my phone real quick so we can get these suspensions updated. Shams hit us up with the information. Let's get Shams up here. Shout out to Shams, doing a good job. Taking over for Woj at ESPN. We love that dude. Keep doing your thing, Shams. And we will keep on watching hoops. That's what we're going to do. So, here is the suspensions. Okay, Isaiah Stewart, 2 games. Dante DiVincenzo, 1 game. Ron Holland II, 1 game. Naz Reid, 1 game suspension. And Marcus Sasser, a 1 game suspension. Now, their pocketbooks, lighter, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Not great. Not great about that. You losing money. Never good. Now, playoff energy hits early. This was a playoff game in March. We said that, no doubt. Everything. You know, here's the thing. Net rating post-brawl. Wolves plus 29. Pistons bench minutes post-ejection. Their efficiency cratered because they didn't have anything. Remember, Cade Cunningham sat out this game. And shout out to Rudy Gobert for being in the fracas, but not getting ejected and then having 25 rebounds in the game. Those are grown man stats. We loved it. We love the brawl. We love Anthony Edwards talking trash and then dunking on people. It was great. It was a great night. So we're not going to glamorize fights. But this really wasn't one of those. But sometimes identity has to be earned in moments where pride is on the line. Detroit is done being a punchline. And Minnesota, after a early season swoon and a lack of identity, have come out and said, oh no, we still the bully on the block. And they're telling the rest of the league, yo, when you come to us, bring the playoff energy, show up in March, because if you don't, you might get clowned. All right, so now we need to turn to a segment that, like I said earlier in the podcast, I have gotten many an email, which is at frpcvince@gmail.com. You drop emails there all the time. We're gonna have a actual show email coming up soon. We're getting that all set up now, but for right now, frpcvince@gmail.com. I've gotten tons of emails saying, hey Vince, we like the podcast, but you know what we really like? We really like the Around the Arc segment when you were talking about the teams and you were getting into the divisions and stuff like that. And I said, you know what? Y'all right. So we bring it back, folks. What's good? Around the Arc is back, and it's a little bit different because how it's going to work is that we're going to take a whole conference and we're going to condense it a little bit. We're going to give you a little stat here, a little update there, and we're going to hit these teams. All right? So we got a lot of teams to hit, 15, and we got a short period of time to do it. So we're going to start at the top. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the land. Mitchell's numbers post All-Star break show more than a scoring punch. He's grabbing 12 rebounds. He's adding 4 steals in some games. That dude is buying in defensively, and he's going to need to. Defensive field goal percentage at the rim, league best. Mobley and Allen are just paint surgeons. Okay, you're not getting in. Those are 2 7-footers. Wingspan out the building. It's going to be a rough ride if you think you go into the hole and nobody's going to be there. Now, the Cavs, best record in the East. Boston won 8 straight. These are the young Kings until further notice, but only one of them is playing like they want the throne every single night. Now, here's the other thing with Cleveland, and this is a Soraya note. She left this for me. Cleveland doesn't just defend, they deny your dignity. And Mitchell, he's doing all the things while doubling as a defensive swingman. He's not making an MVP push. What he's making for is he's making his manifesto for what the playoffs are about to be. Soraya, that's a good quote. Love that. You know what? I'm glad that's on the pod. Now, the Celtics, they just keep winning. They keep on winning the math problem. Number 1 in net rating since the All-Star break, by the way. And Boston leads the league post All-Star break with that net rating. Okay, now here's the other thing. Derek White, 244 made threes. Tatum is the headliner, no doubt, but White is the lead line of the code in the system. The Celtics are a machine right now. They just, like I said, 62 3-point shots. I don't care who you are. Teams are trying to dissuade you from shooting these things. And they got 62 of these bad boys off. I told you earlier in the season, Mazzulla has cracked the code. He has turned the Celtics into a machine. It is absolutely ridiculous. They're 35-11 in conference. Just so you know. All right, let's get to the Knicks. The Knicks are still waiting. Brunson, we're getting updates that he's coming back very soon. Josh Hart is still the glue of this team. He's also the cement. He might also be the foundation. He keeps on doing triple doubles, getting 8+ assist games, and the Knicks are 6-1 when he has 8+ assists. So when his ability to offensive create for everybody else, which is important because he's getting the ball to one Karl Anthony Towns, who is on an absolute scoring spree. He is doing it real big. The Bodega Cat is doing it in Gotham, and we thought he would. We thought the weird would manifest itself. I'm not gonna lie to you, but this has been the best version of Karl Anthony Towns, so he should get credit for that. I'm still waiting for the defense to show up, though. We'll see how it all goes. Now let's talk some Pacers basketball, shall we? 43-31. The Pacers now feel like a playoff headache. Indiana's last in half-court efficiency among playoff teams. Halliburton's field goal percentage is down. Listen, here's the thing. It's starting to happen. Have you seen the numbers in the last month or so? Or actually, it's been longer than a month. It's been post All-Star. Yeah, he's back. Plus 20 points a game. Plus 10 assists per game. And we got the splits back. My man is shooting like 44% from 3. He's like a 50-40-90 guy. Again, Tyrese Halliburton is back. I'm so excited. Are they still a Ferrari with no seatbelts? With an insane pace? Yes. Can they keep this up in the playoffs? No. Indiana wants to run. But if you cut the music off mid-play, they freeze. They're a rhythm offense. There is no fallback there's no fallback. There's no other plan. This is what they do. Okay? They get the ball out the net, they get it up the court, and they are trying to run action, and they are trying to find good shots for their snipers that are on the court. Okay? Siakam with Nembhard or Turner for defensive structure in playoffs. Otherwise, they'll get punked in a 7-game series. And here's the thing. Miles Turner as a center, as a rim protector, has fallen off this year. The productivity is not as robust as it's been in the last couple years, and I wonder if we have hit a stage where, you start to grow into your body. You're a little thicker. Maybe you don't have the lift that you once did. Those type of things. That's what I'm kind of seeing on when I'm watching games. Now, a team that has no problems with lift whatsoever, the Detroit Pistons. 42-33. Yes, you heard that right. This team right now is really battling for that 4-5 spot with the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks, who we will get to in 1 second. Detroit, Cade Cunningham has really not just turned a corner, but he's where he is supposed to be. This is where we always thought he was going to be. And now, because of the fact that they put a competent team around him, we see it. So get well, get the calf together. Cade, we can't wait to see you in the playoffs, my man. Hopefully you come back with 4 or 5 games left. So we're getting close, right? Getting close to coming back. So you can knock off some of the rust and then enter the playoffs and lead the Detroit Pistons. And maybe have home court advantage throughout the first round. The Milwaukee Bucks are 40-30, and it's hard now. Dame, deep vein thrombosis. Yes, that's the same thing that Victor Wembanyama had. It's the same thing that Asor Thompson of the Detroit Pistons had earlier in the last season, going into this season, where he had to take a little while to come back. And now you're counting on Kyle Kuzma as the second. And I don't see any place where that is a viable situation. By the way, Brook Lopez, career low in defensive rebound percentage. So the age is starting to show. They're bottom 5 in the half court points per possession. The system isn't working. And now you don't have Dame. And Dame is your cheat code. Because Dame is the type of person that individual offense is something that he can do. I don't care if he's 6'1". I don't care if he's 32, 33 years of age. Dame is a problem if you can get the dudes off of him. If you can set a hard screen for Dame and now he is free and clear, it is a problem for your defense still to this day. There are thoughts that he could return. I don't know. We will have to see. But they are still talking that he might be able to return. Now, this gets us to the bottom of the East, okay? Now, we're in the play-in range here, okay? We've gone past the playoff teams, and now there's a complete line between the playoff teams and the play-in teams. You got the Hawks, and you got the Magic. And the best part about what's going on there is that Atlanta's a mess, but it's a fun mess. Trey is doing 11.5 dimes a game. Dyson Daniels is just pilfering people at an alarming rate. Also he's throwing 19 dimes, in his last couple. Dyson Daniels is like a Roomba with a fight IQ, bumping into everything on purpose. Atlanta's ceiling is fun, but the floor is sticky. Bottom 10 defense, so with all the Dyson Daniels pilfery and pillaging that goes on, you still got Trae Young. And you don't have Jalen Johnson. So, defense, still Swiss cheese at the point of attack, a la Trae Young. There's the issue. Hello. Now we get to Orlando. I still like Franz. I still like Paulo. They're starting to coexist. They're 10-3 in the division. The thing about it is they still can't shoot. And they didn't. That's going to be the thing. That's what every podcast talks about. That's what everybody talks about. But the problem is that who knew? Who really knew that Jalen Suggs was maybe the straw that stirred the drink down in the Magic Kingdom, the happiest place on earth, Orlando, Florida? Now we need to get to the Bulls quietly hot, 7-3 in their last 10. Kobe White out here putting up 29 points in the month of March. 29 points in the month of March. Kobe White did his thing. Shouts out to Kobe White. Now also, it is March. I want to keep that in mind. It is March. And you know what happens in March. Two things happen. One, the teams who are tanking, and obviously we have a very, very desirable bobble waiting for us in the 2025 NBA draft. Cooper Flag and a bunch of other goodies that are coming out. So you see the teams going, hey, I don't care what we got to do. We got to lose these games. So you got some of that. And then you got some of the teams that are like at the top of the food chain, and they might be getting bored with the regular season. So Chicago's caught this nice little range. And listen, they played well. they have played well. But it's the Bulls. And they're just like a Honda Civic with custom speakers. You know what I'm saying? Nothing flashy. But you're going to hear them. You know? They're going to come out and shock a couple people here and there. Now, I'm not talking about playoffs. So, Chicago, I am not talking about playoffs. But I think a plucky upstart playing team is just what the Reinsdorfs ordered. Yet again. Yet again. And Miami is just dead man walking, but they are like they're the Last of Us. You know what I'm saying? They are literally just there. You know, there's nobody left on the planet. It is just them. Because everybody underneath them, they are just, hey man, can we get Cooper Flag? Everybody below Miami is just like, hey man, we just don't want to be here, dog. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to take this. Y'all trying to lose, but y'all not going to lose like we going to lose. Okay? It's not going to happen. Philadelphia out here putting Delaware Blue Hen teams together. It's crazy. Because they pivoted to tanking. It's been the Maxey and Adem Bona show. Shouts out to Adem Bona, UCLA alum. You know I love it. Bona plays like he's on a 10-day every single night. He doesn't just block shots. He resets possessions. He's like, yo, that's going out of bounds. That's going into the 15th row. Brooklyn is in the lab. Charlotte is spinning its wheels. LaMelo, done for the season. Don't have to worry about it anymore. We're not even trying to put together any sort of competitive team whatsoever. And Washington, well, we know Washington gave up a long time ago. They are doing the ultimate tank. Okay? Washington is doing tank right. The Wizards are playing 3D chess on a trampoline when it comes to tanking. They are on fire. So at the top of the East, you got a lot of competitive teams, and everybody's kind of getting locked in. You have that little battle in the 4, 5, and 6 range. And that's going to be an interesting way to see how that plays out. Does Milwaukee get Damian Lillard back to make a playoff push? Because Giannis is still that boogeyman that nobody wants to see. Nobody wants to see that dude. Now, we are going to end the podcast with the segment Off the Bounce. And what we tried to do with Off the Bounce is hit you with a couple of like quick hitters and some things that kind of caught our attention. So let's go ahead and do that, shall we? Shall we? All right. Stats that matter. Dyson Daniels, 3.1 steals per game. Okay? Top 5 screen navigation wins. That's advanced analytics for you. Malik Beasley for the Detroit Pistons, NBA leader in 3 points made and also doing shimmies after he shoots the 3-point shot and makes it. Kobe White, defense field goal percentage. Check this out. Plus lowest turnover percentage among high usage guards. So the month of March for Kobe White has not only been stock stat pleasing, right? Just the basic stats, but he's been a low-key analytical darling. Defensive field goal percentage, holding people down, and lowest turnover percentage among high usage guards. You can't get no better than that. And now here's the thing. For all you people that are out there questioning my hate or love for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell is a plus 6.1 on-off defensive rating
post All-Star break. So he's still getting it done. He's still additive. So shooting slump be damned. They're bored. They won a ton of games. They can't wait for the playoffs to get here. And I think Spider shows up in the playoffs. So I'm just letting you know these things right here. These are the things that kind of caught my eye. And there's a couple other things that we kind of really need to talk about. And here they are. The Rockets last night played the Lakers. And this is more of a Rockets situation. We'll talk about the Lakers a little bit, but this is more Rockets centric. Now let's talk about Amen Thompson, because I don't think there's another player on Houston's roster who's affecting the floor like he is right now. Not Jabari, not Fred VanVleet, not Şengün. My man put up 20 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. That's Amen's line versus the Lakers. But beyond the box score, he had 4 stocks. He blew up 3 actions on film. And Houston's net rating with him on the floor is a positive 5.3. And he's not your heliocentric driver. He's a chaos agent. And I am thinking of like young Andre Iguodala, but with way more bounce and less bulk. Okay, he looks like he jumps off a trampoline. Now VanVleet, since coming back, he's the one guy that can create offense, but he gets jammed up because he's small. So they trap him up against the half court line or in the corner. They're gonna need to fix that as we get into the playoffs. I think they don't have a go-to scorer. It's really just prevalent when you watch them. He was 2 of 14. Jalen Green had a terrible shooting night as well. Okay. Now, on the Lakers side, yes, they won, but I got to shout out Austin Reeves. Back-to-back games where he's making plays that won't show up in the box score, but late switches, help rotations, swing passes, taking charges, getting rebounds, hockey assists. He's a winning player even when he has an off night. So shouts out to our guy. And the last thing that I want to say is that there's a guy for the Utah Jazz that I was down on when he came out in the draft last year. But I want to shout him out. Bryce Sensabaugh. Now, Utah loses again, 110 to 106 to Charlotte. Okay? That's not a big deal. Bryce Sensabaugh, when he came out, I was like, what does he do? Does he do anything but shoot? Can he play defense? What is it? Well, he had 19 points. He hit 5 threes. He had a 66.3 effective field goal percentage. That's not just a shooter. He's a movement weapon. He uses his frames and finds angles. Think Bojan Bogdanovic with a stockier base, less finesse, more grounded footwork. And that's what I see in Bryce Sensabaugh. Now, defense is still a mess. Offensive creation for anybody other outside himself, not happening. Hence why our guy, Lauri Markkanen, is having a down year. If anybody is selling stock of Lauri Markkanen, hit me up. It's frpcevents@gmail.com. I will take all your Lauri Markkanen stock. So if you're down on him because you're saying, oh, the numbers don't look as good, he is on a ISO based team right now. I don't know if you caught Keontae George's act. Isaiah Collier is the only one out here providing any sort of offensive creation. And the other night, check this out, 17 points. He had 7 elite rim pressures. Okay. But you can see how he still gets turnover drunk against switches. Like he doesn't know what to do. Now Filipowski, 13 rebounds, but no free throws because all he doing shooting threes, standing out there. And I'm telling you right now, Miles Bridges is probably going somebody's gonna pick him up. I know he had the situation. We've talked about it. It's never good to be involved in any sort of domestic violence, but we've not heard anything wrong over like the last year or so. And I wonder if a player like him on a good team, could he provide like real legitimate impact offensively and defensively off the bench for a real good team. Just thoughts out there. All right. So with that being so said, I want to thank my producer, Soraya, who has provided so many notes today. I also want to thank the audience. I want to thank you guys because we are coming to you Tuesday and Friday every single week, and we are bringing nothing but heat as far as the basketball is concerned. So you know what Around the Arc is going to be on Friday, right? Western Conference. So you know that's going to be set. And then now we got to watch these games. We got to see what's going to happen. We got a big one tonight. I think Golden State and Memphis are playing one another. That has playoff seeding ramifications. You know I can't wait to watch that. All right. Then also on Thursday, there is a Laker Golden State game. Another playoff seeding ramification game. And I will be keeping my eyes all over those type of situations for you to bring to you on Friday, because we will be chilling in the Western Conference. So for Soraya, myself, Vince, and everyone behind the scenes, thank you for your help. And you know who you are. FRPC wants to leave you with this. We are a NBA podcast. We are a podcast that wants to grow. The only way we can do these things is for you to contact us. And how do you do that? On X, at FrontrunnerPC, at Rhea_Funch, FRPC. The Blue Sky accounts are, for me, it stays the same. I am a creature of habit. At FrontrunnerPC.bsky.social. But our producer, she's very special. So her handle on Blue Sky is FRPC-Rhea.bsky.social. Remember to hit up the YouTube channel. We have an NBA lounge there. We have poll questions and things for you there. We also have the blog. The blog on the website is being updated this weekend. So take a look there. And lastly, enjoy the rest of the week. You know, we got Hump Day coming up. We got Friday coming up, and that's when all the basketball talk will happen again. So the best part of you is you. Make sure that the people that surround you are supporting you. Make sure that they are bringing positivity in impacting your life in that way. And make sure that you're acknowledging them. And those who are exhibiting those behaviors, go ahead and appreciate those people who are doing that for you. Now, if you're doing all that, go out and do some good in this world, and we'll see you back on this podcast on Friday for the Western Conference. Out. Deuce.